Welcome into the Banter, everybody.
Boom.
Very
Double
nice,
click.
Very nice. Me and Jason back on the mics. I'm excited to banter today. I need a good talking. We had a shouting match this morning over office snacks.
It was
ridiculous.
Rough. It was
I don't
rough.
know who
in
started
here.
that. But before we get into that, this is quite appropriate actually. Before we get into that, we got a quick word from our sponsor. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in this world and is going through a hard time, therapy can give you tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that is why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible, and that is an important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to the options that are in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in my description. It's betterhelp.com/foundation. Clicking that link helps support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, and if you don't really fit with that therapist, which is a common thing with therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. Yeah, therapy is a super great tool. We've worked with BetterHelp in the past, and this is a great resource to use if you're struggling with mental health or just going through a tough time in life. I highly recommend trying this out. Therapy can be a great resource to have. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/foundation. Thanks again to BetterHelp for supporting this channel. All right, thanks once again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video or this podcast. It's both. I feel like most of our Banter listeners are video. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the whole salsa chicken fiasco? Konner, I got to tell you this.
Tell me.
So, you were here when we discussed the bit that we were doing for the Heiser. For those of you who don't know, we do this. You guys probably all know. We do this weekly podcast for our Patreons. You can go to Patreon/Foundation Disc Golf to join the Heiser Club, and it's like a Q&A podcast. And there's this long story. Not long in length, but long as in from a long time ago, where Hunter used to always talk about his salsa chicken recipe. And Hunter is not the one to talk much about food or cooking at all because it's just not a huge area of interest for him. Like, he likes food, but like, he's pretty picky, sticks to what he knows for the most part. He has grown a lot in the last few years.
Yeah.
Though. We'll give him that. But like, he doesn't really care to cook that much either. But he would talk about this salsa chicken recipe. And then one time on a podcast, may have been this podcast, we came to the realization he didn't even like his own salsa chicken.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the funniest things I've ever
Because I think
been
it was
a part
going
of.
down to, we were talking about probably like something like top meals or something like that. We're like, oh, would it be salsa chicken? He was like, I don't really like salsa chicken.
He
We're
just
like,
knows
what?
he makes a good one, is what
Yeah.
he said. Like, he knows he makes a good one. And so it was just kind of hanging in the air. We always like joke about salsa chicken. And we decided, Konner and I were the only two on this Q&A podcast because Hunter was in Disney. And we told everybody, hey, next week when Hunter's back, we want all the questions to be about his salsa chicken to see how long it catches on. Mm-hmm. And he ended up getting sick again. He had already been sick.
No.
And so he wasn't there. I had to do it all by myself. And I had forgotten. And I got to the very first question, and people got so creative. Like, they were writing these crazy long questions and then just like ended with a salsa chicken question. It was the funniest thing ever. Yeah. And like, all the questions were about it. And I was like, oh, okay, guys, like, this is such a bummer, but like, just copy and paste your questions to next week. Like, we'll run it back. Konner will be here. It'll be great. I was like, there's no way he'll be gone another week. And then Hunter comes in on Monday, having just planned grip lock, and is like, I was looking for the Patreon question of the week, and why were all the questions about?
Oh my gosh.
So I forgot that he looks through all the previous questions to get a question of the week for a grip locked. And so I basically had to tell everybody today when I put out the mailbag prompt, I was like, I said Heiser Club mailbag / salsa chicken is dead, and had to tell them all how the bit
gosh,
was defeated.
That's so funny. That would have been so great.
Terrible moment in my life.
I looked through the questions before the week just to do it, and I was at Disney, and at the time I was like, what is going on? So I had to text Nate because I knew Nate would know about it. And I was like, surely this was a bit from it, but it was the questions were pretty awesome.
We just wanted to see how long it would take him to realize there was a bit going on. Like, the first one, he would probably have been like, oh, that's funny. They want to know about the salsa chicken recipe. And then he'd be like, huh, why is there another one? It was a short Heiser Club mailbag because I think there was like 48 questions, and half of them were about salsa chicken.
That is so funny.
Really
I'm so
funny.
proud of our Heiser Club members.
I know.
Awesome.
I'm
actually
really mad
like getting on board with that.
I'm really mad I wasn't able to set them on get the bit out there, but You know what I just realized?
What?
We never did the Silas selection in this past Grip Locked.
Oh.
I love that bit.
Yeah, I do too.
Dang, man. I won't mention it.
Yeah, don't.
That'd probably be just another straw in the
don't
camel's
bring it
back right there.
Based on y'all's morning for sure. So
Yeah.
you need to smooth the waters down. So.
Jason, what are some of your favorite snacks?
What are some of
if
my
you-
favorite snacks?
I think we've talked about this before, like your gas station play. But
Yeah.
let me give you a new scenario because we talked about gas station play. This scenario is because for me, going to a gas station and getting like a snack and a drink is a lot different than like I'm sitting down on my couch watching a movie or a football game and eating snacks. So we've done the gas station. Like mine was like this. I'll get like a Snickers a lot of times and like a Snapple or something. This is I'm gonna sit down to watch some form of entertainment. We'll say not a movie. Like we're not going movie night snacks. That's its own category. This is just like you're sitting down to relax and you want a snack. What are we going to?
Yeah. So I'm going to already break the rules of this. Because
can.
It's surprisingly, I don't, as much as I watch and as big as I am, you would think I snack a lot, but I don't snack a lot when I watch stuff, which is not a thing. But let's trade it off a little bit, like my game day snacks, because I do snack way too much on game day. Our go-to game day snacks are almost always the same. It's usually buffalo chicken dip. Like, have you ever had like buffalo chicken dip? With Frank's Red Hot. So like when we watched Alabama unfortunately lose to Michigan a couple weeks ago, we were buffalo chicken dip, and we also make this pizza dip that Elizabeth has brought to some of our foundation things.
We've
where it's
made it
basically
since then.
like cheese and marinara, and you toast baguettes and put it on there.
Yeah, those are really good.
And the third one we always do is just the meatballs, like chili sauce, grape jelly, and meatballs. Those are my three go-tos, and of course. For every kind of snack thing we ever do is Ruffles and just Dean's French onion dip. So those kind of the four snacks are kind of our go-to.
That is
I would like to be there for that.
Like I'm very hungry. I'm not leaving line. This isn't a bit. Like I really want that right now because like when you start talking, you can taste it. I'm like, I know we have some Frank's Red Hot at the house, so we may be doing that tonight for our board game night. So.
That pizza dip right now sounds so good.
Yeah, we just made it not that long ago. It was so good. That's a great one because I was about to say for me. I am not really anymore like chips and pretzels. Like I like snacking on chips and pretzels, but when I am going to choose to eat these days, I want to eat like substantial savory food. That's another thing with me is I used to be like, oh, there's an opportunity to eat a bunch of chocolate and candy and stuff. Nowadays, like if I am going to like be using stomach capacity to eat things, I'm more of a savory guy and I want like I'm interested in things like that, like a buffalo chicken dip and like that. I want more substantial things because like what you just described is like pretty optimal for me.
Yeah.
When I was in college though, I one of the cheapest things I could get the snack on consistently is I would just get tortilla chips. I've always loved tortilla chips. I'll eat them plain. I don't even care. And I would get apple juice a lot because I really like apple juice and it was cheap at Aldi. So I would walk around our apartment with just the full thing of apple juice and a bag of tortilla chips. Like that's where I would sit down on the couch to watch something, and that's what I would have. I look like a toddler.
I could see that the crisp and saltiness of the chip.
It was a good mix.
And the sweetness, and the slight tartness of a good apple juice for
Thanks,
sure.
Jason. Thanks for giving some validity to that nonsense.
No, like I could totally it was great. I could probably do that now, but I could definitely see that as a college snack.
I really only have apple juice these days for my toddler. But sometimes I get a little too tempting. I pick up the bottle and I'd have to take a swig. You know, that apple juice has got a grip on me.
One time for Christmas, my grandma got Gabby and I like a thing of these olive oil seasonings. So the seasonings that you put in olive oil so that you can dip like bread in it and stuff. Yeah. And so lately, a snack that we've been doing a lot is we'll get like a baguette from the store and then just cut it in slices, and then I'll just spray some olive oil on it and then put it in the oven and let it crisp up a little bit, and then just pour some olive oil on a plate and pour those seasonings in there. And dude, I'll make myself sick on that.
Anything bread related.
Yeah, related.
Carbs. I'm a carb guy. Yeah. Here's the thing. Something just popped in my head talking about bread. I think we need to do a bread power rankings, top 3 breads, because one bread that I just got reminded of again last night that my wife made homemade with our meal. And I was like, this is such a good bread. It needs to be talked about more. And everybody knows it's a good bread, but it needs to be talked about more. So Konner, what's your top 3 breads? No particular order, just your best, the 3 that are awesome.
It's really, really difficult to beat sourdough.
I agree.
Yeah, homemade, fresh sourdough smells good.
Or store-bought
tastes
sourdough.
Yeah, sourdough.
Fair enough. Like if I can only get store-bought.
There's not really a lot of bad sourdough.
No. Well, that's the thing about sourdough. It doesn't go bad, man. It just gets more sour.
But it's, I mean, I think if you're making a sandwich or you're making grilled cheese, it's just like
toasts really well.
A crispy sourdough, just with that nice and like the greasiness in it. Oh, I love sourdough.
Yeah. Let me tell you what's, and this will flex on my love of getting to live in Germany. We're talking about Germany before we went on air here, but Germany, like Europe, all the local bakeries bake their stuff fresh, so there's no preservatives. So if you don't eat that bread that day, it's not going to be that good. But there's a chain in Germany. I pronounce it Sene. It's Sehne. That could be pronounced wrong. But their baguettes, which were like €1.30, which is like $1.50 at the time, were like the best things. And like you would, no kidding, see people on the road at Legoland literally pull out a baguette and some sausage, and that's their lunch for the day. And we would when I was running a lot then, so my daughter would ride with her bike with me, which would run a few miles, come back by the bakery, grab that bread, and go back to the house.
I love the way Europeans
good
eat,
fresh
man.
bread. Like Ratatouille has it right. If you squeeze the bread and it crisp, it talks to you, then you know it's a really, really good bread. So just a baguette from a good German bakery.
I love the way that Europeans eat. Like they're more of ingredient people. And like that's a great way to, like they're just like, oh, this cheese will go nice with this bread.
Yeah.
Something cool like a chocolate cigarette.
Yeah, something cool like that. Listen, have you ever had I watch a lot of food television, food YouTube, and one thing that I recently learned about that the Germans adapted, and apparently it's everywhere in certain parts of Germany, is donors.
Yeah, doner kebabs.
Doner kebabs. Oh,
love
Jason,
them. They're the great. Like the biggest thing. If there's a food item we miss, it's doner kebabs.
So basically, what that is you have meat roasted on a spit. It's like that where you shave. It's very thin shavings, and then it's kind of almost a Mediterranean type thing.
It is very much a Mediterranean.
Yeah, they put
meal,
them in the bread with. It's almost like a pita.
bread.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, it looks so good.
Doner kebabs were just the best, and every place has it.
What sauces did you get? Because I heard it's like there's like the garlic sauce and the spicy sauce. Like what sauce?
I actually was boring. I didn't. The meat is so flavorful. I didn't get the sauce. Elizabeth would get the. Often it's the traditional tzatziki sauce, like Greek sauce they'll put on there. So that's what my wife and kids would get. But just the meat itself was good enough. Man. So like they were like and they weren't very expensive, and every little place sold a doner kebab, and then a lot of these places, if it's not just a doner kebab stand, if it's like a restaurant, it'll sell like Chinese and Italian and pizza and doner kebabs. But then you can get doner meat on your pizza. Oh, so my favorite pizza was literally doner meat on my pizza.
That's crazy.
So
what is the actual meat? Is it beef?
It depends, right?
I think it's it
There's a lot of places
it's either
lamb.
It's lamb. It's
lamb.
the lamb for
so like
me
a Euro
is better.
kind of thing.
It's very much a Euro.
Yeah.
There are places, from what I learned, there are places that have done chicken now.
Yep.
We'll do chicken. But the whole point is because you're doing that spit and those shavings,
yeah,
every piece is crispy because they wait for it to crisp up, and then they shave it.
Like a little shaver that comes down there and it's always spinning, and you get the fresh stuff right there.
I watched a guy on cooking YouTube try to replicate that without a spit, and the way he did it was he froze his chicken and then cut it as thin as possible with a really sharp cleaver so that he could then cook these shavings of chicken and get them all, because getting them all browned, like that's what makes it so appealing. Yeah. The bread that I was thinking of though that I just had last night is naan bread. Oh, yeah. I love naan bread, and we made it, well I say we, my wife made it on my cast iron last night, like homemade, and oh my gosh, like naan bread is just like, it's one of those breads that I can eat without anything, just I mean, I was scarfing it down last night. Yeah, I love naan.
Yeah, naan is, so to clarify for anybody who's going to comment down there, we know that naan actually stands for bread in India. So naan bread is like ATM machine. Bread, coffee, tea. For those who've watched Across the Spider-Verse, you'll get that whole joke because there's a whole great thing in there about chai tea. Chai is just tea in India. So you say chai tea, we're actually saying that flavor of tea for us, but we're actually calling it chai spices.
That's funny.
That's America. Because the Indian Spider-Man goes, you want some coffee with your tea, or with your bread. Anyway, but naan is fantastic.
Yeah,
like we had a whole kick.
Stupid.
We were doing naan with just everything, like with. Either we never made it fresh. That sounds fantastic.
It was awesome.
That sounds amazing.
It was an upgrade. Like store-bought naan is just fine, especially once you warm it up. But like I was getting depth of flavor that I had never gotten last night. I was like, I felt like I was eating cake. It was incredible.
But that's basically what we talked about. The YouTube guy, the Outdoor Boys. The
guy
in Alaska. He basically makes naan every time because he has dough. He's already
just throws it down on a stone
in there, and he just puts it right on the stone.
Yeah,
bits and pieces in there, and he puts honey and butter on it. And I'm like, every time he does that, that sounds
the honey butter.
amazing.
Man, that's his big thing. Which, like, how can you go wrong with honey butter?
Mm-mm.
I also want to say that I think I stumbled across the best dinner roll like out there. So like around the holiday season,
it's pretty hard to beat Hawaiian rolls.
well, these are ones that you put. These are ones you put in the
Okay,
oven.
okay,
These are
okay.
ones that you bake. So around the holiday season, my wife and I were in charge of bringing dinner rolls to a couple different gatherings, and we got a bunch. And then we realized, so we were going to my parents, and my sister eats a plant-based diet. So we were like, oh, we need to get ones that don't have milk in them. And we found this one kind at Walmart that I'm going to see if I can find these. It won't be hard. That didn't. And we were like, okay, we'll get those and we'll have the two different kinds. Well, we get to the day and realize there was a really long process with like letting them thaw and rise.
Okay. Interesting.
Which typically with a frozen roll, you don't have to do it. So we weren't able to make them until just like a week ago. And so we finally go to make these rolls. And yeah, the way they work is you actually take them out of the freezer and you let them, they have like yeast ready to go that as they thaw, they rise and they like double or triple in size. They are Rhodes yeast dinner rolls.
Let me see the picture of them.
They come in an orange bag, 36 count. They're quite cost effective as well. And so we got these things out and you put them under the plastic wrap and we set them out. And then they rose big time. Like they were like these puffy things of dough. Like it looks like you had just made homemade dough. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. Those things came out of the oven. I mean, just the most like pull apart, like amazing rolls. It was like the Texas Roadhouse rolls.
Wow.
I was blown away by these dinner rolls. I was like, this is crazy that these were frozen. Like, and you had to wait like 3 to 5 hours to let them rise.
Wow.
Like a long time because they have to thaw too.
Yeah.
So there was a waiting process. But oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I was like, these things are the best. I ate so many of them. So many of those rolls. We had 36. But so Rhodes, you can get them at Walmart in the frozen section. Rhodes dinner rolls. Man, just
what's funny, the description you have of those makes me think of a restaurant called Lambert's Cafe. Have you ever heard of Lambert's? There's only a couple. There's one near Gulf Shores, but they're known for their throwed rolls. They're called throwed rolls. So their rolls are really big like that.
Yeah.
But like they'll literally throw it across the restaurant.
That's
so as you
great.
described how big those got, that just made me think about Lambert's randomly. So, but like,
That's
and Lambert's is it's basically like family style. Walks around. Oh, you want some more mac and cheese? You want some more of this? And they just pour it on your plate. But if you want rolls, like they'll literally be across the restaurant. I want some rolls, and they'll chuck it all the way across the restaurant.
That's hilarious.
So it's a little pricey, unfortunately, because it's very much a touristy thing. But it's as I saw that picture and you talked about it, it's like if you're ever near the Gulf Shores, and there's also one in Missouri, I think.
Been there.
But it's a unique experience for sure. Doing it once was great. We've only done it once, but it was pretty cool.
I think AM Worlds is going to Missouri next year. I think I saw that. I wonder if they're going to play Eagles Crossing. I don't know. We went to Missouri. Where did we eat in Missouri? Did we eat in Missouri?
Probably Wendy's.
Yeah, we weren't ever like, we didn't have time for touristy things.
No.
We got in late, played the next day, left.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we left. So like we probably had breakfast at the hotel. I think we did grab lunch at Wendy's.
Yeah.
Like on our way in between. Everybody's like, why aren't you at the skins match? And then we left and we got that was a drive back. That was a good time.
I did bring y'all from our trip. I'm still going back to the snacks. I'm hungry right now. But I brought some. So my favorite road trip snack, I'm going to jump way back into some beginning.
No, you can.
Is Buc-ee's. 100%. Like I love
never been to
Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's.
You've never been to Buc-ee's? Oh my
No,
gosh.
and I've definitely been places. I mean, I've been at this point. I think I've been to every region. Because I've been, like, every region that has specific things. Maybe not super niche, but, like, I've been to the California and the Texas and the Northwest, and I've obviously been all over the East Coast. I've been Midwest. Like, unless there's stuff up there, like, I guess I've never been to a Tim Hortons yet. That, you got to get pretty far
Tim
up
Hortons
north.
is fine.
Tim Hortons is just fine. Like, I'm not a coffee drinker.
I'm sad
so
that we didn't go to whatever it's called. What is it? The place I kept on saying that I wanted to go.
Dutch Bros?
Dutch Bros.
I've had Dutch
yeah.
Bros.
Okay. But yeah, so Buc-ee's, we drove when we went to Disney World last week, and randomly I passed 3 different Buc-ee's on the way. There's 2 in Florida that are like an hour apart from each other, like just south of Jacksonville, just north of Daytona.
And then there's one in South Carolina.
There's one in Florence, South Carolina.
And you pass all of them.
Yeah, I passed all those in the road trip. So we literally stopped at every one.
Because I think I did that same trip like a little while ago.
What's the closest one to here?
Florence, South Carolina. They're making.
I know. I've heard there's one in Virginia now.
They're making.
No.
I don't know if there's one in Virginia, but one's been approved. I think for Richmond, maybe.
I think there's one in Virginia.
I think there's one in
now.
Virginia,
Richmond,
but
that's
Florence
too
is not
close.
too far away. But it's so their brisket is really good. Their brisket, their breakfast burrito is amazing.
Oh.
But the snacks, they have all fresh made snacks there. But their jerky is amazing. So I brought you guys some jerky. It's out there.
Oh, yes.
So I
Thank
have
you,
some jerky,
Jason.
cherry maple and
Whoa.
smokehouse or something like that.
Cherry
So,
maple.
But
sounds
that's
fun.
my like. If we go by a Buc-ee's, I'm gonna stop and their jerky unfortunately is expensive because jerky's expensive today. But they have the fresh stuff literally right there. They wrap it and give it to you. The stuff I got was the processed stuff, so it's in a bag that's already there.
I gotta know where
But
the nearest Buc-ee's is.
They are, but it's price. The gas is great because gas costs just like everything else does. The food's a little pricey, but in today's economy, everything is.
Yeah.
But we literally stopped at Buc-ee's every single time. So I had multiple pulled pork sandwiches, brisket sandwiches, and then their breakfast is amazing. So.
Yeah, the
Their-
closest one to here.
Next
is that.
time, Jason, you need to try their Texas cheesesteak wrap.
Okay.
Yeah,
very
like,
good.
what
I'm
in
not a
the
big
world?
cheesesteak guy, but that sounds.
It's
I
like
love cheese.
I
I
don't
went through a
even
phase in my
remember what- I
life
don't
where I
even remember
ordered
what was in
cheese.
it,
I don't
but it's really
dislike it,
good.
but it just does. Like if I'm there, their brisket and their pulled pork is so good. It's
Yeah.
hard to not.
It's-
Like my boys always get the kolaches. They get the sausage kolaches of all things.
Yeah.
Every single time.
That's
It's
So-
breaking ground January 30th. Rockingham County. That, let's see how far away that's going to
I
be.
think that might be like an hour away.
I think it's
Rockingham.
near
Yeah,
Richmond.
well, I know Rockingham, North Carolina is just over
Rockingham
the
County,
border.
Virginia.
So.
It is 2 hours on the
Oh,
dot.
okay.
Harrisonburg. So
Oh,
actually,
north.
it's up north.
Oh.
It's up near like past Charlottesville.
Hmm.
So that 2 hours for Buc-ee's is what we're looking at, guys.
That's not bad. I
Dang.
mean, it's worth it. Buc-ee's is good.
I want to try. Have you been to Wawa?
Yeah, but in Florida, Wawa is very common, so
Yeah.
we did Wawa a lot.
I think Wawa's fine.
I've only been once, and I got the hoagie, which is what everybody talks about, and it was a better hoagie than like you would get at Sheetz.
Yeah.
But I've never had any of the other stuff because like the Sheetz Wawa thing's the whole argument. I obviously am a Team Sheetz guy.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's even a comparison. They're just so different. in
Yeah,
my opinion.
I've only been the one time, and I went to one that I think was actually in Richmond or near Richmond. So I don't know. My roommate was from Delaware County, so it was just Wawa this, Wawa that. Now he lives in Florida, so it's more Wawa this, Wawa that. So I don't know.
Racetrack is trying to.
Racetrack's pretty good.
They've been catching up for a while. Like the old school racetrack of my youth was just a plain old gas station.
Wait,
Yeah.
where do you go to a racetrack? Because I've only been in Texas.
Oh, in Alabama. They're common
Okay.
in Florida. I think they may be based
I think
in
there's
Florida.
I think there's racetracks in
Or
North
Georgia.
Carolina.
Brody took
Yeah.
us to one, and they had one down the street from him in Texas, and he was like, "This is our Sheetz," and it was a good time.
Yeah, but it wasn't that way. The early racetracks when I was young was just a gas station. But they
Yeah.
did this transition where now
Yeah.
they also have like frozen yogurt there, and
Everybody's
that's the first
getting
place
into
I saw
MTO
that.
game.
So
Because
that's
I think I used to go to like there used to be a racetrack near my parents' house, but it was just like a normal gas
yeah,
station.
right, and they
Yeah.
pivoted years ago, and they've gone to, and it's
You
been
have to
successful,
nowadays
so, right.
because like I mean the gas stations like Sheetz is obviously one of the big ones, but like they just made it like this is no longer just a place to get gas. Like it's fun to go in here and order food, and like it's a legitimate option for your lunch. Like it's just
Yeah.
no longer just like I gotta grab something from the gas station.
Or it's a perfect just like mid-trip snack.
Yeah, it's awesome, and you have so many options, and so yeah, like even local gas stations in Pennsylvania, there was a gas station called Rutter's that was local, and I took Connor and Hunter there to get their chocolate milk
Best chocolate milk I've ever had.
because
It
they
was
had
awesome.
really good. They have like a really good chocolate milk from their
It's very good.
dairy farms, but they like even they were getting in on it, which was hilarious to me because they were like a small mom and pop like, local gas station, and they
That
were
place was a good time.
yeah, it had gone corporate, man. All the gas stations have to get like all the MTO in. I think we're getting a Royal Farms near us somewhere, which that's another one I had growing up nearby, and they're a gas station that's made their whole thing on their fried chicken and their Western fries, which are like big old thick potato fries.
Oh, okay.
And they were kind of infamous. A lot of people liked them. But they were infamous because if you walked into Royal Farms and walked out, everybody knew you were there because you smelled like chicken. It just smells like fried chicken in there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's fun.
Fried chicken's a good time. There's a place in Madison Heights. It's literally called The Store. That's the name of the place, The Store.
Yeah.
And then on their sign, it just says, like, they have the best fried chicken. And we got some of it, and it was really good.
That's what John said that he like looked up, like was looking up Google reviews, and it just said this is the best fried chicken in Madison Heights. And so he went in there and he was like, I hear this is the best fried chicken in Madison Heights. And she was like, you're dang right, sweetie.
That's good.
There was, when we lived in, talking about random places, when we lived in Georgia, we were in Warner Robins, Georgia, and there was a barbecue, 2 different barbecue joints. One was literally at the end of an old rundown gas station that wasn't a gas station anymore, and it was called like Blue Diamond or something like that. And you wouldn't even know there's barbecue there, but it was one of those places like was the best place. Like if you knew about it, you went there and got the best barbecue. You could have no signs, no anything. You wouldn't even know anything there other than there'd be like 20 cars outside in a line waiting to get their barbecue sauce, their barbecue. So it's those random places like the store. You would never think about it.
What's like the best like inside track, either restaurant or just like store from like a local place that you were like inside on, like you knew like that, like where it's like I'm one of the people that knew about this like secret place that is awesome for some reason.
We had it's
I immediately thought about the Cloud9 disc golf selection.
Oh yeah, yes. At like 10 minutes from my parents' house, there's a smoke shop called Cloud9. Well, there's a billion smoke shops called Cloud9, but this one had a disc golf like section, and it was a incredible like disc selection. Like they had really really good discs and a good U section and everything. I don't know if they still do though. Haven't been there in years, but we used to always get barbecue from this place called Rock Store Barbecue, and it was like just off the side of the road, off a country road, in this like building that looked like a like old church chapel, but like a really really small, like almost just like a prayer chapel, like a small prayer chapel, and it was all made of stone, like all, and it was like old stone. It wasn't like made to look old. It was like in the legit like just old stone prayer chapel, and they turned it into a barbecue place. And it was called Rock Store Barbecue. And so we would always get like a bunch of barbecue, like tubs of barbecue from there and tubs of sides for like different events that we would do. And then one of my dad's favorite barbecue places was a place called Bill Spoon's. And it was like the most rundown, janky place you've ever seen. And it was like his favorite place in the world, though, because my dad loves barbecue. I remember whenever I was a kid and my dad was like, all right, today I'm just going to take you to Bill Spoon's. And it was like 45 minutes away from our house, like in some other middle of nowhere town that wasn't our middle of nowhere town. And he just really loved it.
It's really funny. I always think it's funny that up north, like where I grew up, barbecue was not what it is in the South. Yeah. It's called pulled pork up north, and barbecue was sloppy joes.
Wow.
Yeah,
interesting.
That's what people, and it really came full circle because.
But you don't barbecue sloppy joes though.
Right. Maybe it's the sauce.
It's the sauce. They call it like they like hamburger barbecue, like, but like that's what, if somebody said barbecue, like that is where your mind went. Very weird. And maybe it was even just a York County thing where I grew up, but it was funny because we went up north for Christmas and we were staying with my aunt, and she said we were going to have barbecue one night. And I, like in the back of my mind, knew like it was probably going to be like a sloppy joe's type thing, but like my wife, who's from the South, was probably thinking it was the other thing.
Yeah.
And luckily she didn't care about, she likes both.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a big deal, but it's funny because I got there and I was like, I thought it was so funny. My aunt like panicked. She was like, wait, is this not okay? And I was like, no, it was just funny because we just, it's called a whole different thing.
Yeah.
And it was just funny to have that reminder that there's like different languages.
Yeah. In Colorado, we went to a wedding in Colorado, and the rehearsal dinner, they said, yeah, like it's gonna be good. We're gonna have barbecue for dinner. And I was like, heck yeah, I could really down some barbecue right now. And we got there and it was just grilled chicken.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Maybe they cooked it
not
on a
pulled
barbecue,
chicken,
right?
just
It was
like,
grilled. They cooked it on a
guess,
barbecue.
and people say like we're barbecuing, which they mean
means
like
they're
just grilling, and that makes sense.
There's basically nothing that inspires me. Like I've had good grilled chicken in my life for sure, but like growing up, I had a lot. Like sometimes grilled chicken is just not very inspiring.
No, it's really not.
It can be dry.
It can be dry so easily.
Yeah. You need something else with it.
I'm not a big. That's why I've always considered myself not a big chicken guy. It's just because I think of grilled chicken.
I ate a lot of grilled chicken growing up.
Love fried chicken though.
And my parents were great cooks, but one thing that I never liked was grilled barbecue chicken.
Same, dude. My mom was
always
an amazing cook, but whenever she made grilled chicken, it just tastes like grilled chicken.
Yeah. It just tastes like chicken with the barbecue sauce. That
like if you make it in a pan, you have a good sauce, you can do just fine with grilled chicken. But you throw it on that grill and you're just depending on brushing it down with barbecue sauce, it's not enough.
Over and over.
No.
Yeah, it's not going to do the job.
Well, because usually it's breasts too. If it was thighs, then it's good.
Yeah.
But we always just did breast, which just meant it was dry.
Cooking chicken, it's an art. It's an art form. That's why I like cooking steak, because if you don't cook it quite as much, you'd be like, oh, it's just a little more rare today.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah. I learned, talking about how the different names for barbecue, I learned that tea is different. And when I was young, so like in the South, if you say tea, it's sweet tea. By default, it's always going to be sweet tea.
Yeah.
And then we took some trips, to, up to Northern Virginia and DC, and I'd say I want some tea, and I'd get it, and it had no flavor to it.
Yeah.
Iced tea.
And then like
we have iced tea.
Or in this, and so I learned, okay, I actually asked for sweet tea now, and then also if we'll go to a place that has no sweet tea, I'll say, do you have sweet tea? They say we have raspberry tea. I'm like, that's not
Or
sweet
lemon
tea.
tea or
And they
peach
said,
tea.
and they have, we have sweetener on the thing. I said, that's unsweet tea with sugar in it. I want sweet tea where you cook it. So
That is, sweet tea is like, you could get it at McDonald's. I think I maybe knew one person in my life growing up that like actually drank sweet tea from like McDonald's, but like it wasn't at restaurants. We drank iced tea up north, and I love like a good iced tea. We used to drink a lot.
Yep.
It's good stuff, man.
It was really funny because depending on which grandma's house, I had a different kind of tea experience because my my mom's side of the family is from New York, and then my dad's side of the family is from like Eastern North Carolina, and so
It's like the home of sweet tea.
yes, and so if I was at my grandma on my dad's side's house, it would just be a Lipton tea packet with a bunch of sugar in it.
That's how you make it.
I have some at the house right now in my
Lipton
fridge that I
sugar,
made over the
baby.
weekend.
And it was a great time. It was can I have some sweet tea? And then we go to my other grandma's house, and it was she like adapted it a little bit, but it was just like very slightly sweet, like barely sweet, and it had a little bit of lemon juice in it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed both of them.
Yeah,
it just was a very different experience for me.
I'm definitely not a lemon juice guy. If there's lemon in my sweet tea, I don't like it.
I hate peach tea. I hate peach tea.
If I want tea, if I want cold tea, I just want sweet tea. Now I've gotten really big into hot tea, so I drink a bunch of different other teas right out of my kettle. But if it's cold, I want it just to be tea flavored. Lipton tea specifically.
I will say though, as somebody who like has lived, I loved the North and like I grew up there, but like as somebody who's lived South, like the South rocks. It's awesome for a reason. Like I enjoy it here. I mean, my parents moved here, and like cause like like the kind of barbecue we have down here, it rocks. It's awesome, and sweet tea rocks. It's awesome. It's like I didn't really get into it that much until I started dating my wife, because she like was like grew up with that, so she would make it, or like if she went somewhere she would order it, and then like it's pretty, you get into that pretty quick. Yeah, it's like this is great.
Well, and people like the reason why the culture is so different in like the North and the South, it all comes down to one thing. We move so much slower down here because we're trying to process with sweet tea and sausage gravy inside of us. we can't move faster. We're going as fast as we can.
It's good stuff, man. I love good.
That's fine. But Elizabeth grew up. My wife Elizabeth grew up in Alabama, but she still doesn't like sweet tea. To this day, she cannot stand sweet tea.
Really, Gabby doesn't like sweet tea.
And so I'll have sweet tea, and she's more than once in our life has taken a chug of whatever I was drinking without asking. It's just
sweet tea is intense.
It is.
Certain places have bad sweet tea.
Bad sweet tea is bad.
Yeah. But there are a lot. Where did I just have it recently? We were in Eastern North Carolina for like a family gathering. We went to a barbecue place that was local. That it was in Williamston, North Carolina, and the restaurant kind of sucked, but the sweet tea was good. One of my favorite like barbecue sweet tea place is a chain called Smithfield's Chicken and Barbecue, and it's common in North Carolina. And anytime I'm down there, I try to go there because their barbecue sandwiches rock, and their sweet tea is just top notch. So good. I love Smithfield's Chicken and Barbecue. I dream of it.
It's sad. We had a Pizza Hut, but a specific Pizza Hut when I was growing up that had really good sweet tea, and I would literally just go buy that.
Pizza Hut?
I would literally go there just to get a large sweet tea with half ice, and then go. I'm not kidding. Like that's not a
so
pizza story.
Funny.
Like, I still remember this day that Pizza Hut was good, but if I just really wanted some sweet tea, if I was out, I would go by there, get a large sweet tea, and then go somewhere else and eat like Taco Bell or something. So
like. There's like a similar, like Diet Coke drinkers and sweet tea drinkers are like two of the people that I've known. Like coffee is like, people drive through to get their coffee. Yeah. That's just a very common thing. But like sweet tea and Diet Coke, there are people that will drive through to get their sweet tea.
You find the one that tastes right. Like, if it tastes good every time.
My Nana, my mom's mom, she was a Diet Coke drinker for most of my life. Up until a few years ago, she quit it just out of the blue. Just quit it. But she was a drive-through McDonald's every single morning to get her Diet Coke, and she would make that Diet Coke last like a good bit of the day. But she liked it. She liked the staff that worked there in the morning. She knew them all by name. They knew her all by name. So it's one of those things where they, Carol, we know you, whatever. And so like that was a thing. But then also she would ask for it in a styrofoam cup back when they still offered that. Right. She liked having the styrofoam McDonald's cup.
I'm a bigger fan of styrofoam cups than I am plastic cups.
And also like McDonald's Diet Coke just kicks butt. Like all their Coke products do because they got that formula down to a science. Yeah. So yeah, I know sweet tea people are kind of the same, where like they will go places for sweet tea. A lot of people like a Bojangles sweet tea or whatever it might be.
Yeah, Bojangles is pretty good as well.
They're hit or miss. But when it's on, it's on.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
It can be very good.
They're some of the most inconsistent, but whenever it's good, it's good.
Yeah, it's very true.
Thankfully, Bojangles is a Pepsi. I'm a Coke drinker. We're a Pepsi line. So if the sweet tea is never not good, I'll just get Mountain Dew because Mountain Dew is
Alabama a Coke or a Pepsi school?
It's a Coke school, unfortunately. So. It's like Disney's a Coke school as well.
You're a Dr. Pepper guy, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm a Dr. Pepper guy.
So, like, that's fair. Which technically that is a different...
Dr. Pepper waivers from... depending on where you're at, it could be a Coke thing or a Pepsi thing.
To me,
I thought it was always with Pepsi. No. I know it's a 7-Up Dr. Pepper.
It can be with Coke, depending on how they worked it out. Mr. Pibb isn't always defaulted to Coke.
Oh, okay.
Locations, yeah.
How funny is that like, Coke or Pepsi have...
Dr. Pepper's its own thing, yeah.
Dr. Pepper is just so big that, like, they know they can't just... slide in and steal it. It's like Sprite being big. I mean, we've seen Sierra Mist try to rebrand itself 100 times. Now it's called Starry. Just to try to compete with Sprite.
In their defense, Sierra Mist
it tastes different.
It's not a great name.
No.
well, it is, but it's not like catchy.
Yeah, it sounds refreshing.
Like,
yeah.
What do you want, Sprite or Sierra Mist?
Yeah, Sprite is a great one.
Yeah,
it's a great name.
Now that I think about it, I actually miss. I like the name Sierra Mist.
Yeah, it's better than Starry.
Yeah.
Stupid name. Who thought of that?
I don't know.
I saw, because on one of Robbie's trips, I saw him drinking that at my house. I was like, what is this? Because I didn't know what Starry was.
I saw it in the airport and we thought it was a new soda. And then some lady behind us was like, hey, yeah, that's the rebrand.
I didn't realize.
That's so funny.
Pepsi, because in my mind, Pepsi's biggest thing, obviously Mountain Dew is like their ace in the hole.
Yeah.
Like that's just like, I'm surprised.
Yeah. Can't beat Mountain Dew. There's no comparable item to Mountain Dew.
It's funny that Coca-Cola hasn't tried harder to like, I think the soda companies have like a respect for each other.
Yeah.
Because like they have Mellow Yellow, right? And it's a good soda.
Well,
but they've never
not like there's not a soda that you can't just recreate.
Right, they could. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's not a soda they can't recreate.
Yeah.
Like they if they wanted to make a version of Mountain Dew that was as good, they could.
I'm surprised they haven't like pushed harder into that market. Like I think they just kind of know how iconic it is. It's same with Dr. Pepper. It's like you just can't beat Dr. Pepper.
Have you ever had RC Cola?
Yeah.
Yes.
You have
once.
RC Cola is pretty.
You can get that Food Line.
Oh, really?
I think at Food Line you can get it.
Nice. I used to have RC Cola in the glass bottle back in some gas stations near my parents' house.
A unique Southern. To me, that may not be a Southern thing, but to me that was always a very niche Southern thing.
I think it is.
Cheerwine as well.
People
love Cheerwine. I just don't like it. I've tried it multiple times.
That's fine.
I love it.
The Avett brothers, shout out, are big Cheerwine people. So that's the only reason I even tried Cheerwine back in the day. And I'm like,
really?
It just doesn't hit. I wish it did.
Yeah, Cheerwine is basically like the reason why I'm alive. So
well, the one thing I'm trying to think is Cookout a Coke or a Pepsi place?
Coke.
And they do have Cheerwine.
They do. Cheerwine is.
I know they float,
sure
but like I was just thinking because Bojangles is Pepsi, they have Cheerwine. Because like Cheerwine, that's another powerful free agent in the soda world. Cheerwine and Dr. Pepper, the two cherry sodas, control the world.
I never even knew that Dr. Pepper was a cherry soda until like a couple years ago.
It just tastes like anyone. It's just like a sweeter brown soda.
Because like
but then they have cherry Dr. Pepper and cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper.
I've noticed that Cheerwine has started like marketed like in its marketing it says cherry flavor and stuff like that. But the funny thing is Cheerwine is actually black cherry is the flavor.
Yeah, I think that's it. Because I guess I really don't like black cherry because I like seltzer a lot, like New York
black
seltzer
cherry
and stuff,
is my
and I just don't
flavor.
like black cherry flavored stuff. I guess
I've been
never really thought about that for Cheerwine.
I keep like one of the big old Stanley cups. I know, at home and just like as my water cup, and I'll use it like when I work out and stuff. So I'll keep electrolytes in a lot. I usually buy just like Propel packets and I'll use those. And lately I've been really into mixing them around because I get bored. And I took the black cherry ones and mixed it with the lemon ones.
Oh.
let me tell you for free, if you ever want a real experience in life, get yourself a little propelled cherry lemonade going. It was awesome. It was great.
I see that, yeah.
Big fan. Tried another combination. It wasn't as good.
Whenever Gabby and I were coming back from Black Mountain, North Carolina yesterday, and we stopped by a Sonic because she wanted to drink.
Sonic, man, what a confusing place.
Yeah, and so I usually always just get like a slush there, but it was freezing and like there were flurries in the air, so I didn't feel like it was time for a slush. So I just got a cherry Coke, and I forgot that like at Sonic they do like I got it because I knew they were doing like Coke with cherry syrup in it.
Yeah,
because that's how they do like their drinks there. Instead of like I don't really love just straight up cherry like. Coca-Cola's cherry Coke. I don't really love it. But it was so much cherry.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
Sonic's a little out of control, man.
I mean, it was thick. It was a thick Coke.
I want to try that. I got their cherry.
It was good,
lime.
but I had a large.
I got their cherry lime slushy like a few months ago, and they put like 2 whole limes in it. Like I literally couldn't drink it. It was so tart, I couldn't drink it. And it was Sonic, man. They take it to the extremes. Sonic kind of sucks. And I want to love it. I want to love it, but here's what happens. You go to Sonic. The menu is overwhelming to start with. You feel like you have to order a bunch of things, so it ends up being expensive. The food's good at the end of the day, but the process ends up being a little stressful.
I agree. Here's what I think the problem is, Trevor. We aren't well versed in Sonic.
That is true.
Because we don't like have like a Sonic.
It's
Sonic
hard
is
to
always,
get well versed.
It's because every time we go to Sonic, it's not like casual day hitting the Sonic. It's like heck yeah,
a lot of
we're
pressure
going to
on it.
Sonic. So when you're there, you're always like, I'll just go and get a slushie on the side of fries. You're like, no, let me get those piccolos and I got to get those mozzarella sticks and I got to eat all these things. And you're like, I just spent $15.
So we got to learn Sonic.
That's because. Right. Is there a Sonic in Forest?
Bedford.
Or
in Bedford.
They're in Bedford.
It's
Okay, that's right.
Fallen Creek.
Well, I grew up. You hit the nail on the head because I grew up going to Sonic. So Sonic is literally like just a normal. It's almost other than being pricier. It's like a McDonald's to me. Like we go. We often like the footlong chili cheese dog is obviously what we commonly get. But then like their breakfast is for a breakfast place because they have breakfast sandwiches and breakfast burritos. They're really goated. Their shakes are really good. All the mixtures of drinks. But like I said, there's so many things you can get there.
They
for a while, I don't know if they still have it, but they had like a country fried steak sandwich when I was young. That was really
they're pitching
good.
crazy stuff. Ever since they fired their 2 spokes guys that were like iconic, that would sit in the car and talk about like happy hour.
Well,
milkshake.
what did she say?
Like ever since they got rid of those guys, I just don't care as much anymore. They were like keeping me on to Sonic.
I like that you just like went ahead and just dug into this narrative. They fired those guys.
They got rid of them. They did. They decided to like pivot their brand, and it was like, listen, man, Bud Light tried that too. It didn't work. Sometimes you got to stick.
They
to your
didn't quite
roots.
go that extreme.
Sometimes you got to stick with what works.
The tough thing for Sonic for us the last 3 or 4 years is their service has gotten extremely slow. So like, well, at least in Montgomery, like the 2 Montgomery Sonics where we used to live, were so slow, and the order was right maybe 80% of the time. And so we literally just quit going to Sonic because it took so long, whether you went through the drive-through or did just the drive-in.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the Sonics have drive-throughs now, or probably have had them for a while.
Yeah, I feel like every time I go to Sonic, it's pretty slow too. We always had Sonics growing up, like all near us, but we didn't go super often. Yeah. We didn't really do fast food growing up, except for Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I'm in a crisis because Cookout is coming to Madison Heights where I live imminently. Like the building is up.
Oh wow!
It went up. We're getting a Dunkin' too, and that's also an issue.
I'm excited for the Dunkin' on Timberlake to be done.
We need a Christmas.
Are they not done with that yet?
I don't know.
I know the sign.
I saw people were camping out for like free coffee for a year or something.
That's interesting.
People were posting on the Living in Lynchburg Facebook group about. So I guess that they're
when it comes to fast food addiction though, Cookout is probably at the top of my list.
It's really, really difficult for anyone to beat Cookout.
It is. It rocks because the value is still good. Even today, it's still pretty good value. You can pay $7 and get a tray or whatever. And I've never lived close to a Cookout. Like even where I used to live, it was still like a 15-minute drive. Mm-hmm. This one's gonna be down my road.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And no, it's not nice. It's bad, Jason. It's very bad.
On the way home or on the way to work. But
to the point where my wife and I were discussing our strategy of how we're going to not eat this on a weekly basis. Like we were like, we need to like, we literally ended up deciding. I was like, I think we need to just make one day a month is cookout day, because then we have something to look forward to, and we're not going to overdo it. Like, we'll survive if we have it once a month. And then I think she was like, well, how about like twice a month? And I was like, no.
And this can become weekly, our cookout weekly day.
Yeah, no. So it's going to be out of control. Gosh, man, out in that neck of the woods, people are going to be freaking out.
My favorite thing to do at cookout is to get...
You saved my life because you introduced me to the styles of burgers.
Yeah,
I was living in lie until I learned about cookout style and cheddar style and all that.
that was a good... I'm well versed in cookout. Like, cookout is where I spent most of my time in high school. Like, I
didn't have them.
Yeah.
I didn't have them.
Our cookout had like the parking spot, and it wasn't a parking spot. It was just the grassy hill underneath the cookout sign was where whoever had the biggest truck in the parking lot parked their truck under the cookout sign. Like, you just drive over the curb into the grass and park under the cookout sign, and that's just whoever had the biggest truck in the parking lot would park right there.
That's funny.
I did one time. I got really close to it, but I didn't think that I would be able to make it over the curb. Almost parked my little 89 Volkswagen Cabriolet under the sign because I thought it'd be really funny. I didn't think it would make it over the curb, though, so I didn't do it. But I always would do the quesadillas from Cookout and ask for extra quesadilla sauce.
Love the quesadillas.
Because it's like this really good, like, spicy, creamy chipotle sauce.
Great sauce.
And... if you ask for extra inside of your quesadilla, you can also ask for extra on the side, and they'll give you a cup of quesadilla sauce, and you can dip everything in it. It's awesome. But I like to ask for extra in the quesadilla. That way I'm basically just holding a tortilla pocket full of this spicy, creamy sauce. And then I get to the end of like my first one. I'm like, why did I ask for so much of this? And then I just like end up having to just squeeze some of it into my platter, and then like basically just eat some wet tortillas, but then I get to dip stuff in my extra quesadilla sauce. It's a great time. I always regret it, but I always do it again.
Cookout's such a blind spot to me. I've had it 3 or 4 times ever because where I've lived, they didn't have one. And then in Montgomery, they finally got one. By that time, I was living on base. And so it was like a 20-minute drive to either Cookout, and we just didn't eat out a lot. So I've only had Cookout maybe 3 or 4 times. It was always good because I like the good variety because we'd get some of their like cheese balls or whatever they were.
They don't have
any. No, they still have cheese bites.
They don't have the Cookout rounds anymore. The potatoes.
Yeah,
but just the plain burger, regular burger was always good. Burger. So I don't Cookout to me is the way you guys talk about Sonic because I don't know that menu at all. Yeah, and you can do shakes and so many different.
Cookout can be very overwhelming.
It definitely can.
Here?
Once you figure out, once somebody explains you, just get a tray. Like that's pretty easy. Yeah. There's just a list. But if you just like stared at their menu, you'd be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I also like it came in like aluminum foil. I don't know if it does that everywhere, but it's not as fancy as you would think. I'm like, I actually love that.
The plastic tray with the aluminum foil, like that is part of the experience. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Cookout, I mean, obviously it's totally a college food, and like that's why I had it a ton was in college, and it's right next to our campus. But it's funny because it was introduced to me as like it was introduced to me as like a milkshake spot.
Yeah,
because they have incredible milkshakes and a ton of them. But like their milkshakes are great, but that's not why I go to Cookout.
No.
I'm going there for the food
and for a cheer wine.
Cheer wine,
yeah.
With
that's
crushed ice.
Cheer wine
they have crushed ice.
The thing with Cookout is that like you guys probably aren't aware of this because you were introduced to Cookout a little bit later in life. But Cookout was never a sit inside place no Cookout had inside seating.
Yeah.
I remember whenever because we always had a Cookout nearby, but it was a drive-through only. They had some picnic tables outside, and you just went up to the window and ordered.
Yeah.
But then they built a new one in Indian Trail, which is where my parents live. Well, it's like 15 minutes from where our parents live. And I remember they had like a dining room in, and this is the one where now everybody parks their truck under the sign. And we were all freaking out. We were like, "Oh my gosh, it's a Cookout where you can sit inside." That's insane because that was like blew our minds.
We used to sit inside the Cookout a decent bit when I was a student because sometimes the drive-through line would just get so long, And there was kind of a vibe in there, especially if you
I
went,
love sitting in cookout.
Yeah, a lot of good people watching. We'd get people from Lynchburg College in there too. A little bit of just things crashing together there. But we would go like after an intramural game, and like you'd see a lot of people from the same crowds all showing up, or after a sporting event.
Cool. It's definitely different at this one because it is all college students.
Yeah.
But like whenever like the one I was going to, obviously wasn't outside of a college or anything. So we would spend hours at cookout, dude. Just
cookout's great.
Yeah, it was awesome. But there'd be a ton of old people in there. There'd be families, and like it was a normal restaurant. So, but yeah, it's a popular college spot because it's open so late. Or like we would finish band practice at church, always going to cookout.
If you're listening to this and you're not hungry by now, I don't know how that's.
I'm starving.
I literally did my order for Firehouse while we were talking because I got to work at the store today, so I got to run and get that before I come back before the store.
What's the Firehouse order?
My Firehouse order today is a steamer, but I usually get like the Italian. The steamer's like
I get the Italian, like the hook and ladder, isn't it?
The Italian is just the Italian. The hook and ladder is
What's
like
that
I think that's like the
like
American or
honey
something.
mustard.
It's like a club kind of thing.
It's like a club. I think the hook and ladder. And the barbecue one is really good. The meatball. I'm a
meatball
Firehouse.
sub is very good.
I'm a Firehouse guy. Firehouse is number one.
We might move right next to him.
I know, man. That's gonna be bad. That's gonna be great. Like talking about bad. That's great, but bad.
Well, hey, we're happy we got out of the other spot before Chick-fil-A came in.
Yeah.
We all would have been toast.
That's true.
Although probably all would have been better off.
Yeah.
Because like I can go to Chick-fil-A and order a salad that I like.
Yeah.
So like I would have.
Or really nothing. Like even if you just get a chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A,
it's not gonna
it's
kill
like
you.
It's real chicken.
Not the way that Sheets kill us.
It's only like
that
87% chicken, right? According to Brody.
Yeah, that's a bunch of bull crap. That man trying to convince me that the chicken's not real. Like I touched it, Brody. I was the one breading it. It's real chicken.
That was hilarious. And then he started reading the, like
he just literally read it off.
He jumped in there without knowing what he was talking about.
He's like citric, like was saying.
Yeah,
all these
what about
seasonings.
paprika, Konner?
Like, yeah, you're reading the marinade. Yeah, there's no chicken in marinade.
Oh my gosh.
That was so frustrating
Let's
for
see what
me.
the die does today. It's been very favoriting towards me and Jason.
It has. I'm the gamer, so I guess that's
What if the guy that made it just waited it?
That looks like a hunt. No, that's me. It's me again.
Trevor,
Oh,
Trev.
but
Okay,
Trev.
all right, here we go.
Me again.
Oh,
Double feature. Oh, that's a reroll. Usually Konner gets the second roll. Konner!
Oh!
This is crazy. If you roll Jason, this thing is so rigged.
wow.
This is insane.
We're basically going to this.
It's Silas.
Silas. Oh,
Silas.
Silas and
Okay.
Trevor. Okay, that's fantastic.
Wow, that's fun. We were on it.
I had Trevor's back.
Yeah,
so.
we were there.
Really, Trevor stole that from me because I was going to make the
did.
highlight catch. And Trevor wanted
It was
to
an
say
interception.
The highlight catch. Which fair enough. Yeah.
Alabama fan.
All right, well, we'll see you guys next week with Big Trev and Big Si.
Big Si, talk
Big
all about his
Si.
car.
Love it.